نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنفقوا and spend في سبيل الله in the way of Allah ولا and do not تلقوا throw yourselves بأيديكم with your hands إلى التهلكة into the destruction. وَأَحْسِنُوا and do good. إِنَّ اللَّهَ indeed Allah يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ loves the good doers. Spend in Allah's way and do not contribute to your ruin, and be charitable. Allah loves the charitable. وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ and perform the Hajj وَالْعُمْرَةَ and Umrah لِلَّهِ for Allah فَإِنْ and if أُحْصِرْتُمْ you are held back فَمَا then offer whatever أَسْتَيْسَرَ can be obtained with ease مِنَ الْهَدِيِّ of the sacrificial animal وَلَا and do not تحلقوا shave رؤوسكم your heads حتى until يبلغ reach الهدي the sacrificial animal محله to its destination فمن then whoever كان is منكم among you مريضا ill أو or به he has أذى an ailment برأسه of his head ففدية then a ransom من صيام of fasting أو or صدقة charity أو or نسك sacrifice فإذا then when أمنتم you are secure فمن then whoever تمتع took advantage بالعمرة of the Umrah إلى الحج followed by the Hajj فما then offer whatever أستيسر can be obtained with ease من الهدي the sacrificial animal فمن then whoever لم cannot يجد find فالصيام then a fast ثلاثة of 3 أيام days في الحج during the Hajj وسبعة and 7 days إذا when رجعتم you return تلك this عشرة is 10 days كاملة in all ذلك that لمن is for the one whose لم يكن cannot يكن is أهله his family حاضري present المسجد الحرام near مسجد الحرام واتقوا الله and fear Allah واعلموا and know أن الله that Allah شديد العقاب is severe in retribution. Perform Hajj and Umrah for Allah. But if you are prevented, then any offering is feasible. Do not shave your heads until the offering has reached its destination. If one of you is sick or has a scalp disease, redemption by fasting, charity, or worship. When you are secure, whoever wants to combine Umrah with Hajj, any offering is feasible. The one who cannot afford it should fast 3 days during Hajj and 7 upon his return, 10 in all. This applies to those whose families don't live near the Holy Mosque. Be mindful of Allah and know that Allah is severe in punishment. Al-Hajj for the Hajj. Ashhurun are months. Ma'lumat well known. Faman then whoever. Farada undertakes. Fihinna therein. Al-Hajj the Hajj. Fala then no. Rafatha sexual relations. Wala and no, fusuqa wickedness, wala and no, jidala quarreling, fil hajji during the Hajj, wama and whatever, taf'alu you do, min of khairin good, ya'lamhu Allah knows it Allah, watazawwadu and take provision, فإن but indeed خير the best الزاد provision التقوى is righteousness, واتقوني and fear me, يا أولي الألباب, O men of understanding. Hajj takes place during specific months. Whoever undertakes the Hajj, there shall be no sexual intimacy, no misconduct or quarreling during the Hajj. Whatever good you do, Allah knows it. Prepare, but the best preparation is righteousness. And think of me, you intelligent people. Laysa not is alaykum on you junahun any sin and that tabtaghu you seek fadlan bounty mir rabbikum from your Lord فإذا and when afadtum you depart min from Arafatin Mount Arafat fadhkuru then remember Allah inda near Al-Mash'ar al-Harami, the monument of the Mash'ar al-Haram. Vadhkuruhu and remember him. Kama as hadakum, he has guided you. Wa in and though. Kuntum you were min qablihi before it. Lamin surely among ad those who went astray. You do no wrong by seeking your Lord's generosity. When you disperse from Mount Arafat, remember Allah at the holy monument. Remember Him because He guided you and you were misled in the past. ثم then أفيذوا depart من حيث from wherever أفاذ الناس depart the people wastaghfirullah and ask forgiveness of Allah. Inna Allah indeed Allah ghafurun is oft forgiving, rahimun the most merciful. Then disperse from where people dispersed and ask Allah to forgive you. Allah is forgiving and merciful. فَإِذَا then when قَضَيْتُمْ you completed manasikakum your acts of worship فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ then remember Allah كَذِكْرِكُمْ as you remembered آباءكم your forefathers أو or أشد greater ذكرى remembrance فمن and from الناس the people man who يقول say ربنا our Lord آتنا grant us في الدنيا in the world وما and not له for him في الآخرة in the hereafter min خلاق of any share. When you have finished your rituals, remember Allah as you remember your parents or even more. Some people pray, Our Lord, give us in this world, but they have no share in the hereafter. وَمِنْهُمْ and from those man who يقول say ربنا our Lord آتنا grant us في الدنيا in the world حسنة good وفي الآخرة and in the hereafter حسنة good وقنا and save us عذاب النار from the punishment of the fire. And some people pray, Our Lord, give us good in this world, good in the hereafter life, and protect us from the suffering of the fire. أولئك those lahum for them nasibun is a share mimma of what kasabu they earned. Wallahu and Allah sari'ul is swift al-hisab in taking account. These will receive a share of what they earned. Allah calculates quickly. Wadhkurullaha and remember Allah fi during ayyamin days ma'dudat numbered. Faman then who ta'ajjala hurries fi yawmaini during 2 days. Fala then no ithma sin alayhi upon him. Waman and whoever ta'akhara delays. Fala then no isma sin alayhi upon him. Liman for who attaqa fears. Wattaqullaha and fear Allah. Wa'lamu and know annakum that you ilayhi unto him tuhsharun will be gathered. Remember Allah during the appointed days. Anyone in a hurry to leave after 2 days does no wrong, and whoever stays does no wrong as long as he keeps righteousness. Obey Allah and know that you will be gathered before him. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ and of the people. Man who yu'jibuka pleases you qawluhu with his speech fil hayati dunya in the life of the world wa yushhidullaha and he calls to witness Allah ala on ma what fi in qalbihi his heart wa huwa and he is aladdul khisam the most quarrelsome opponent. There is a person whose speech about this life impresses you, and he calls on Allah to witness what's in his heart, but he is the fiercest opponent. وَإِذَا and when تَوَلَّى he turns away سَعَى he strives fil ardi in the earth لِيُفْسِدَ to spread corruption fiha in it وَيُهْلِكَ and destroys الْحَرْثَ the crops وَالنَّسْلَ and progeny وَاللَّهُ and Allah la not doesn't yuhibbul fasad the corruption and Allah doesn't like the corruption. When he comes to power he strives to spread corruption on the earth, destroying properties and lives. Allah doesn't like the corruption. وَإِذَا and when قِيلَ it is said lahu to him اتق الله fear Allah أخذته takes him العزة his pride بالإثم to the sins فحسبه then enough for him جهنم is hell ولبئس and surely an evil المهاد the resting place. When he is told, beware of Allah, his pride leads him to sin. Hell is enough for him, a terrible place. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ and the people and of the people man who yashri sells nafsahu his own self abtigha'a seeking seeking mardatillahi pleasure of Allah wallahu and Allah ra'ufun is full of kindness bil ibad to his servants. Yet there is a person who gives his life to obtain Allah's pleasure. Allah is kind to the servants. Ya ayyuhalladhina O who amanu believed udkhulu enter fissilmi in Islam kaffatan completely wala and do not تتبعوا follow خطوات footsteps الشيطان of the shaitan إنه indeed he لكم for you عدو the enemy مبين open. O you who believe, enter into submission with all your heart and do not follow the shaitan's footsteps. He is your declared enemy. فَإِن then if زَلَلْتُمْ you slipped من from بعد after ما what جاءتكم came to you البينات from the clear proofs فَاعْلَمُوا then know أن الله that Allah عزيز almighty Hakim all wise. But if you stumble after clear evidence has reached you, know that Allah is powerful and wise. هل ينظرون are they waiting إلا except and that يأتيهم comes to them يأتيهم الله comes to them Allah في in ظلل in the shadow من الغمام of the clouds والملائكة and the angels وقضي الأمر and is decreed the matter وإلى الله and to Allah ترجع الأمور return the matters. What are they waiting for? For Allah and the angels to descend in the shades of the clouds. By then, fate would be sealed. All matters return to Allah. Sal ask Bani Israel, the children of Israel, come, how many? Ataynahum, we gave them, min of ayatin, signs, bayyinah, clear, woman and whoever, yubaddil, changes, ni'matallahi, favor of Allah, min ba'di ma, of after what جاءته it has come to him فإن الله then indeed Allah شديد العقاب is swear in punishment. Ask the children of Israel how many clear signs we gave them. Anyone who exchanges a gift he received from Allah, Allah is swear in punishment. زُيِّنَ beautified لِلَّذِينَ for those who كَفَرُوا disbelieve الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا is the life of the world وَيَسْخَرُونَ and they ridicule مِنَ الَّذِينَ of those who آمَنُوا believed وَالَّذِينَ and those who اتقوا the fear of Allah فوقهم they will be above them يوم القيامة on the day of resurrection Wallahu and Allah يرزق provides من يشاء whom he wills بغير without حساب measure. The worldly life was made attractive to unbelievers, and they ridicule believers, but the righteous will be above them on resurrection day. Allah provides abundantly to whom He wills. كان الناس was mankind أمة a community واحدة single فبعث الله then raised up Allah النبيين the prophets مبشرين bearer of glad tidings وَمُنْزِرِينَ and warners وَأَنزَلَ and sent down مَعَهُمْ with them الْكِتَابَ the book بِالْحَقِّ in the truth لِيَحْكُمَ to judge بين الناس between the people فيما in what اختلفوا they differed فيه in it وما and didn't اختلف differed فيه in it إلا except الذين those who أوتوه were given it من بعد from after ما what جاءتهم came to them البينات the clear proofs بغيا بينهم out of jealousy among themselves فهدى الله and guided Allah الذين those who آمنوا believed لما regarding what اختلفوا they differed فيه in it من الحق of the truth بإذنه with his permission والله and Allah يهدي guides من whom يشاء he wills إلى to صراط a path مستقيم straight. Humanity was one community. Then Allah sent the prophets with good news and warnings, and He sent with them the scripture, which contains the truth, to judge people's differences. Only those who received it differed about it after clear evidence had reached them out of mutual jealousy. Then Allah led the believers to the truth they disputed by His wills. Allah guides whom He wills in a straight path. Am hasibatum, or do you think, and that tadkhulul jannata you will enter in paradise walamma while not ya'tikum has come to you mathalul ladhina like came to those who khalaw passed away min qablikum from before you massathum touched them al-ba'sa'u the adversity wad-dharra'u and the hardship وزلزلوا and they were shaken حتى until يقول said الرسول the messenger والذين and those who آمنوا believed معه with him متى when Nasrullah will the help of Allah Allah unquestionably indeed Nasrullahi the help of Allah qareeb is near. Or do you expect to enter paradise without experiencing what befall those before you? Misfortunes and trials struck them, and they were so shaken that the messenger and those who believed with him said, when Allah's help come, certainly the help of Allah is very near. يسألونك they ask ماذا what ينفقون they should spend قل say ما whatever أنفقتم you spend من خير of good فللوالدين is for parents والأقربين and the relatives واليتامى and the orphans والمساكين and the needy وابن السبيل and of the wayfarer وما and whatever تفعلوا you do من خير of good فإن الله so indeed Allah به of it عليم is all aware. They ask you what they should spend. Say whatever you give in charity is for parents, relatives, orphans, the poor and the person on the path. Whatever good you do, Allah knows it. Kutiba is prescribed alaykum upon you al-qitalu the fighting wahuwa while it kurhul lakum is hateful to you kurhul lakum is hateful to you wa asa but perhaps and that takrahu you dislike shay'an a thing wahuwa while it khairun is good lakum to you وعسى but perhaps and that تحبوا you love شيئا a thing. وَهُوَ while it sharrun is bad lakum to you. Wallahu and Allah ya'lamu knows وَأَنْتُمْ while you la do not ta'lamun no. The fight is ordered for you, although you hate it, but sometimes you hate something that's good for you, and sometimes you like something that's bad for you. Allah knows and you don't know. يسألونك they ask you عن الشهر الحرام about the month of sacred قتال fighting فيه in it قل say قتال fighting فيه in it كبير great is a great sin وصد but hindering people and from sabilillahi the way of Allah wa kufrun and disbelief bihi in him wal masjidil harami and preventing access to al masjidil haram wa ikhraju and driving out ahlihi its people minhu from it akbaru is greater sin indallahi near Allah wal fitnatu and the oppression akbaru is greater sin min al qatl than killing wala and not yazaluna they will cease yuqatilunakum to fight with you hatta until yuraddukum they turn you away and from dinikum your religion in if if they are able woman and whoever yartadid turns away minkum among you and from dinihi his religion fayamut then dies wahuwa while he kafirun is a disbeliever faulaika for those habitat became worthless a'maluhum their deeds في الدنيا in the world والآخرة and the hereafter وأولئك and those أصحاب النار are the companions of fire whom they فيها in it خالدون abide forever. They ask you about fighting during the holy month. Say, fighting during holy month is a major sin, but preventing others from following Allah's path, rejecting it, preventing access to the holy mosque, and expelling its residents are more severe offenses before Allah. Persecution is worse than murder. They won't stop fighting until they have turned you away from your faith. If they can, whoever turns away from his faith and dies is disbelief. The deeds of these people will be of no use in this life and the hereafter. These are the inhabitants of the fire who will stay there forever. Innallazina indeed those who amanu believed wallazina and those who hajaru emigrated wajahadu and strove fi sabilillahi in the way of Allah ulaika those yarjuna they hope rahmatallahi for the mercy of Allah wallahu and Allah ghafurun is oft forgiving rahimun the most merciful. Believers who immigrated and struggle in Allah's path hope for Allah's kindness. Allah is forgiving and good. يسألونك they ask you عن الخمر about intoxicants والميسر and the games of chance قل say فيهما in both of them إثم is a sin كبير great ومنافع and some benefits للناس for the people وإثمهما but sin of both of them akbaru is greater min naf'ihima than the benefit of the two. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ and they ask you ماذا what ينفقون they should spend. قُلْ say لِلْعَفْوَ the surplus كَذَلِكَ thus يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ makes clear Allah lakum to you al-ayati the verses لَعَلَّكُمْ so that you may tatafakkarun ponder. They ask you about alcohol and gambling. Say, there is a major sin in them and some benefits to people, but their sinfulness outweighs their benefits. They ask you, what should their contribution be? Say, whatever you can spare. This is how Allah explains the verses to you so that you may think. في الدنيا concerning the world والآخرة and the hereafter ويسألونك and they ask you and about al-yatama the orphans قل say إصلاح setting right their affairs lahum for them khairun is best wa in and if tukhalituhum you associate with them fa ikhwanukum then they are your brothers wallahu and Allah ya'lamu knows al mufsida the corrupter min al muslihi from the amender walau and if sha'a had willed Allah la a'natakum surely he could have put you in difficulties la a'natakum surely he could have put you in the difficulties inna Allah indeed Allah azizun is almighty hakimun all wise. About this world and in the next they ask you about orphans say improvement for them is best when you mingle with them then they are your siblings Allah knows the corrupter from the reformer if Allah had willed he could have overburdened you Allah is strong and wise. ولا and do not تنكحوا you marry المشركات the polytheistic woman حتى until يؤمن they believe ولا أمة and a bondwoman مؤمنة who is believing خير is better min than مشركة an unbeliever woman ولو and even أعجبتكم she pleases you ولا and do not تنكحوا give in marriage your woman المشركين to the unbelievers men حتى until يؤمنوا they believe ولا عبد and a slave man مؤمن who is believing خير is better min than مشرك an unbeliever man ولو and even if أعجبكم he pleases you أولئك those يدعون they invite إلى to النار the fire والله and Allah يدعو invites you إلى الجنة to the paradise والمغفرة and the forgiveness بإذنه by his permission ويبين and he makes clear آياته his verses للناس for the people لعلهم so that they may يتذكرون take heed. Do not marry unbeliever women until they have believed. A believing maid slave is better than an unbeliever, even if you like her. And do not marry idolatrous men until they have believed. A believing servant is better than an unbeliever, even if you like him. These invite you to the fire, but by His grace, Allah invites to paradise and forgiveness. He explains His communications to people to remind them. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ, and they ask you, عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ, about menstruation. قُلْ, say, هُوَ, it, أَذًى, is a hurt, فَاعْتَزِلُوا, so keep away from, النِّسَاءَ, the woman, فِي الْمَحِيضِ, during the menstruation, وَلَا, and do not, تَقْرَبُوهُنَّ, approach them, حَتَّى, until, يَطْهُرْنَ, they are cleansed, فَإِذَا, then when, تَطَهَّرْنَ, they are purified, فَأْتُوهُنَّ, then come to them, from, حَيْثُ, where, أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ, He ordered you, Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ, indeed Allah, يُحِبُّ, loves, التَّوَّابِينَ, those who turn in repentance, وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ, and loves those who purify themselves. And they ask you about menstruation. Say, it's hurtful, so stay away from women during menstruation, and do not approach them until they are pure. Once they are pure, approach them as Allah instructed you. Allah loves the repentant, and He loves the pure. Nisa'ukum, your wives, harthun, are culture, lakum, for you, fa'tu, so come, harthakum, to your culture, anna, when shi'tum, you wish, waqaddimu, and send forth good deeds, li'anfusikum, for yourselves, wattaqullaha, and be conscious of Allah, wa'alamu, and know, annakum, that you mulaqu, will meet Him, wabashiril mu'minin, and give glad tidings, al mu'minin, to the believers. Your women are your culture, so approach your culture as you please, and prepare for yourselves and fear Allah, and know that you will meet Him, and give good news to the believers. وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ, and do not make Allah's name, عُرْضَةً, an excuse, لِإِيمَانِكُمْ, in your oaths, and that تَبَرُّوا, you do good, وَتَتَّقُوا, and be righteous, وَتُصْلِحُوا, and make peace, بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, between the people, وَاللَّهُ, and Allah, سَمِيعٌ, is hearing, عَلِيمٌ, all-knowing. Do not let your oaths in Allah's name prevent you from practicing righteousness, and from making peace among people. Allah is listener and knower. La, not, yu'akhidhukumullahu, will take you to ask Allah, bil-laghwi, for what is unintentional, fi, in, aymanikum, your oaths, walakin, but, yu'akhidhukum, He takes you to task, bima, for what, kasabat, have earned, qulubukum, your hearts, wallahu, and Allah, ghafurun, is oft forgiving, Halimun, the most forbearing. Allah doesn't hold you accountable for your unintended oaths, but He holds you accountable for your intentions. Allah is forgiving and gentle. لِلَّذِينَ, for those who يُؤْلُونَ, swear off, from, نِسَائِهِمْ, their wives, تَرَبُّسُ, is a waiting of, أَرْبَعَةِ, 4, أَشْهُرٍ, months, فَإِنْ, then if, فَاءُ, they return, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, then indeed Allah, غَفُورٌ, is oft forgiving, رَحِيمٌ, most merciful. Those who swear to abstain from their wives must wait 4 months, but if they go back, Allah is forgiving and kind. وَإِن and if عَزَمُوا they resolve الطلاق on the divorce فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ then indeed Allah سَمِيعٌ is all hearing عَلِيمٌ all knowing. But if they are determined to divorce, Allah is hearing and knowing. But if they are determined to divorce, Allah is hearing and knowing. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ and the women who are divorced يَتَرَبَّصْنَ shall wait بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ concerning themselves ثلاثة for 3 قُرُوء monthly periods وَلَا and it is not يَحِلُّ lawful لَهُنَّ for them and that يَكْتُمْنَ they conceal ma what khalaqallahu has been created Allah fi arhamihinna in their wombs in if kunna they yu'minna believe billahi in Allah wal yawmil akhiri and the last day wa bu'ulatuhunna and their husbands ahaqqu have better right biraddihinna to take them back fi in dhalika that period in if aradu they wish islaha for reconciliation walahunna and for them mithlu is like allazi that which alayhinna on them bil ma'rufi in a reasonable manner walirrijali and for the men alayhinna on them darajah a degree wallahu and Allah azizun almighty hakimun all wise. Divorced women should wait 3 periods alone. It's not permissible for them to hide what Allah created in their wombs. If they believe in Allah and the last day, their husbands have the right to take them back if they want to reconcile. Women also have rights and duties according to what's right, but men have a degree over them. Allah is powerful and wise. الطلاق divorce مرتان is twice فإمساك then to retain بمعروف in a reasonable manner أو or تسريح to release her بإحسان with kindness ولا and it is not يحل lawful لكم for you and that تأخذوا you take back مما whatever آتيتموهن you have given them شيئا anything إلا except and that يخافا both fear Allah that not يقيما they both can keep حدود الله the limits of Allah فإن but if خفتم you fear Allah that not يقيما they both can keep حدود الله the limits of Allah فلا then there is no junaha sin alayhima on both of them fima in what after that she ransoms bihi concerning it tilka these hududullah are the limits of Allah fala then there is no ta'taduha transgress them waman and whoever yata'adda transgresses hududallahi the limits of Allah فَأُولَئِكَ then those whom they az-zalimun are the wrongdoers. Divorce is twice. Keep them honorably or release them honorably. It's not permissible to take back what you have given them unless both sides fear they cannot keep Allah's boundaries. If you fear they cannot keep Allah's boundaries, then there is no blame on them for what she can give in a settlement. These are Allah's boundaries, so do not cross them. Those who cross Allah's boundaries are the wrongdoers. فَإِن then if طَلَّقَهَا he divorced her. فَلَا then she is not. تَحِلُّ lawful له for him. مِن بَعْدُ after that. حَتَّى until. تَنْكِحَ she marries. زَوْجًا a spouse. غَيْرَهُ other than him. فَإِن then if طَلَّقَهَا he divorces her. فَلَا then she is not. جُنَاحَ on sin عليهما on them and that يتراجع they return to each other in if ظنا they believe and if يقيما they will be able to keep حدود الله the limits of Allah وتلك and these حدود الله are the limits of Allah يبينها he makes them clear لقوم to a people يعلمون who knows. If he divorces her, she is no longer legal for him until she marries another husband. If he divorces her, their reunion cannot be called into question, provided they believe they are within Allah's boundaries. These are Allah's boundaries. He explains them to people who understand. وَإِذَا and when طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ you divorce the woman فَبَلَغْنَ and they reach أَجَلَهُنَّ their waiting term فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ then retain them بِمَعْرُوفٍ in a fair manner أو or سَرِّحُوهُنَّ release them بِمَعْرُوفٍ in a fair manner ولا and do not تمسكوهن retain them ضرارا to hurt لتعتدوا so that you transgress ومن and whoever يفعل does ذلك that فقد then indeed ظلم he wronged نفسه himself ولا and do not تتخذوا take آيات الله the verses of Allah هزوا in jest واذكروا and remember نعمة الله the favors of Allah عليكم upon you وما and what أنزل he revealed عليكم upon you من الكتاب of the book والحكمة and the wisdom يعظكم he instructs you به with it واتقوا الله and Allah and fear from Allah وَاعْلَمُوا and know أَنَّ اللَّهَ that Allah بِكُلِّ of every شيء thing عليم all knower. When you divorce women and they come to their terms, keep them honorably or let them leave honorably, but do not keep them to hurt them and commit aggression. Whoever does so has mistreated himself. Do not take Allah's revelations as a joke. Remember Allah's blessing upon you and that He revealed to you the book and wisdom to instruct you. And be aware of Allah and know that Allah knows all things. وَإِذَا and when طَلَّقْتُمْ you divorce النِّسَاءَ the woman فَبَلَغْنَ and they reached أَجَلَهُنَّ their waiting terms فَلَا and then do not تَعْذُلُوهُنَّ hinder them and that يَنْكِحْنَ from marrying أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ their husbands إِذَا when تَرَادَوْا they agree بينهم between themselves بالمعروف in a fair manner ذلك that يوعظ is admonished به with it what man kana whoever minkum among you yu'minu believe billahi in Allah wal yawmil akhir and the last day ذلكم that azka more virtuous lakum for you wa athhar and more purer wallahu and Allah ya'lamu knows wa antum and you la ta'lamun do not know. When you divorce women and they reach their terms, do not prevent them from marrying their husbands, provided they agree on fair terms. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day is instructed to do so. This is pure for you and more decent. Allah knows and you do not. والوالدات and the mothers يرضعن shall suckle أولادهن their children حولين 2 years كاملين complete لمن for whoever أراد wishes and to يتم complete الرضاعة the suckling وعلى and upon المولود the father له on him رزقهن their provision وكسوتهن and their clothings بالمعروف in a fair manner لا not تكلف is burdened نفس any soul إلا except وسعها its capacity لا not تضار made to suffer والدة the mother بولدها because of her child ولا and not مولود the father له on him بولده because of his child وعلى and upon الوارث the father's مثل is a duty like ذلك that of the father فإن then if أرادا they both desired فصالا weaning and through تراض mutual consent منهما of both of them وتشاور and consultation فلا then no جناح blame عليهما on both of them وإن and if أردتم you want and that تسترضعوا ask another woman to suckle أولادكم your child فلا then no جناح blame عليكم on you إذا when سلمتم you pay ما what آتيتم you give بالمعروف in a fair manner واتقوا الله and fear Allah واعلموا and know أن الله that Allah بما of what تعملون you do بصير all seer. Mothers may nurse their children for 2 whole years. If she wishes to complete it, the father must support them and clothe them properly. No one should be burdened beyond their ability. No mother should be harmed because of her child, and no father should be harmed because of his child. The same applies to the heir. If they want separation by mutual consent and consultation, they do no wrong. You do no wrong by hiring nursing mothers, provided you pay them fairly. Be mindful of Allah and know that Allah sees what you do. والذين and those يتوفون pass away منكم among you ويذرون and leave behind أزواجا wives يتربصن the widows should wait بأنفسهن for themselves أربعة for 4 أشهر months وعشرا and 10 days فإذا then when بلغنا they reach أجلهن their specified term فلا then there is no جناح blame عليكم upon you فيما for what فعلنا they do في concerning أنفسهن themselves بالمعروف in a fair manner والله and Allah بما of what تعملون you do خبير all aware. Those of who dies and leave behind widows must wait 4 months and 10 days alone. When they have reached their term, you would be blamed for what they honorably do with themselves. Allah knows what you do. ولا جناح and there is no blame عليكم upon you فيما in what عرضتم you hint with it min of khitbatin nisa'i, marriage proposal to the woman, أو or aknantum, you conceal it, fi in anfusikum, yourselves, alimallahu, Allah knows, annakum, that you, satazkurunahunna, will mention them, walakin la, but you do not, tawa'iduhunna, promise them widows, sirran, secretly, illa, except, and that taqulu, you say, qawlan, a saying, ma'rufa, honorably, wala, and there is no ta'zimu, resolve on, uqdatan nikahi, the knot of marriage, حتى until يبلغ reaches الكتاب, the prescribed term, أجله, its end, واعلموا, and know, أن الله, that Allah, يعلم, knows, ما, what, في أنفسكم, in yourselves, فاحذروه, so beware of him, واعلموا, and know, أن الله, that Allah, غفور, oft forgiving, حليم, most forbearing. You make no mistake in announcing your commitment to women or in keeping it to yourself. Allah knows you intend to propose to them, but do not meet in secret unless you have something right to say, and do not confirm the marriage bond until the writing is fulfilled. And know that Allah knows what is in your hearts, so be aware of him, and know that Allah is forgiving and gentle. La junaha, there is no blame, alaykum, upon you, in if talaqtum, you divorce, an nisaa, the woman, ma, whom, lam, not, tamassuhunna, you have touched, aw, nor, tafridu, you specified, lahunna, for them, faridatan, an obligation, wamatti'uhunna, and make provision for them, ala, upon, al-musi'i, the wealthy, qadaruhu, according to the means, wa ala, and upon, al-muqtiri, the poor, qadaruhu, according to his means, mata'am, a provision, bil ma'ruf, is a fair manner, haqqan, a duty, ala al-muhsinin, upon the good doers. You make no mistake in divorcing women before you have touched them or set the gift for them, sport them, the wealthy according to his means, and the poor according to his means, and honorably provision, a duty for the good doers. وَإِنْ, and if طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ, you divorce them, مِنْ قَبْلُ, from before, and that تَمَسُّوهُنَّ, you touch them, وَقَدْ, while already, فرضتم, you have specified, lahunna, for them, faridatan, an obligation, fanisfu, then give half, ma, of what, faradtum, you have specified, illa, unless, and that ya'funa, the woman forgo it, or ya'fu, forgoes, allazi, the one, biyadihi, in whose hands, uqdatun nikahi, is the knot of the marriage, wa an, and that ta'fu, you forgo, aqrabu, is nearer, littaqwa, to the righteousness, wala, and do not, tansawul fadla, forgot the graciousness, bainakum, among you, innallaha, indeed Allah, bima, of what, ta'maluna, you do, basirun, all seer. If you divorce them before you have touched them, but after you have fixed the gift for them, give them half of what you have specified, unless they waive it, or the person contracting the marriage tie waives it. But to waive, it is nearer to righteousness, And do not forget to be kind to one another. Allah sees all that you do. حافظوا, guard secretly, على on الصلوات, the prayers, والصلاة الوسطى, and the prayer, the middle, وقوموا, and stand up, لله, for Allah, قانتين, devoutly obedient. Keep your prayers and the middle prayers and stand devoutly before Allah. فَإِن, and if خِفْتُمْ, you fear, فَرِجَالًا, then pray, on foot, أَوْ رُكْبَانًا, or riding, فَإِذَا, then when أَمِنْتُمْ, you are secure, فَاذْكُرُوا, then remember Allah, Allah, كَمَا as عَلَّمَكُمْ, He has taught you, مَا, what, لَمْ, not, تَكُونُوا, you were, تَعْلَمُونَ, knowing. If you are afraid, then standing or driving, when you are safe, remember Allah as He taught you what you didn't know. وَالَّذِينَ, and those who يُتَوَفَّوْنَ, die, minkum, among you, وَيَذَرُونَ, and leave behind, أَزْوَاجًا, their wives, وَصِيَّةً, should make a will, لِأَزْوَاجِهِمْ, for their wives, مَتَاعًا, provision, إلى, for, الحول, the year, إخراج, غير إخراج, without driving them out. فإن, but if خرجنا, they leave, فلا, then no, جناح, blame, عليكم, upon you, في, in, ما, what, فعلنا, they do, في, in, أنفسهن, themselves, من معروف, of honorably, والله, and Allah, عزيز, is almighty, حكيم, all wise. And those who die and leave behind widows must make will for their maintenance for 1 year, provided they do not leave. If they leave, you are not blamed for what they do with themselves, provided it's reasonable. Allah is mighty and wise. وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ, and the divorced woman, مَتَاعٌ, is a provision, بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, in a fair manner, حَقًّا, a duty, عَلَى, upon, الْمُتَّقِينَ, the righteous. Divorced woman must be supported fairly. This is a duty for the righteous. كذلك, thus, يبين الله, makes clear Allah, لكم, for you, آياته, His verses, لعلكم, so that you may, تعقلون, use your intellect. This is how Allah explains His verses to you, so you may understand. ألم تر إلى الذين, didn't you see, إلى الذين, to those who, خرجوا, went out, min, from, ديارهم, their homes, وهم, and they, ألوف, were in thousands, حذر, in fear, الموت, of the death. فقال, then said, لهم, to them, الله, Allah, موتوا, die, ثم, then أحياهم, he restored them to life. إن الله, indeed Allah, لذو فضل, surely possessor of bounty, على, for, الناس, the mankind, ولكن, and but, أكثر الناس, most mankind, لا يشكرون, are not grateful. ألم ترى, didn't, ترى, you see, إلى, to, الذين, those who, خرجوا, went out, من ديارهم, from their homes, وهم, and they, ألوف, were in thousands, حذر, in fear, الموت, of the death. فقال, then said, لهم, to them, الله, Allah, موتوا, die, ثم, then أحياهم, He restored them to life. إن الله, indeed Allah, لذو, is surely possessor, فضل, of bounty, على, for, الناس, the mankind, ولكن, but أكثر الناس, most the mankind, لا not يشكرون, are grateful. Haven't you seen those who fled their homes by the thousands for fear of death? Allah said to them, die. Then He brought them back to life. Allah is gracious to people, but most people are ungrateful. وَقَاتِلُوا, and fight, فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in the way of Allah. وَاعْلَمُوا, and know, أَنَّ اللَّهَ, that Allah, سَمِيعٌ, all hearing, عَلِيمٌ, all knowing. Fight for Allah's cause, and know that Allah is hearing and knowing. Man the الذي, who, the الذي, who is the one, الذي, who, يقرض الله, will lend to Allah, قرضا, a loan, حسنا, good, فيضاعفه, so that He multiplies it, له, for him, أضعافا, manifolds, كثيرة, many, والله, and Allah, يقبض, withholds, ويبسط, and grants abundance, وإليه, and to Him, ترجعون, you will be returned. وَقَاتِلُوا, and fight, فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in the way of Allah. وَاعْلَمُوا, and know, أَنَّ اللَّهَ, that Allah, سَمِيعٌ, all hearing, عَلِيمٌ, all knowing. Fight for Allah's cause, and know that Allah is hearing and knowing. Man, who, the الذي, is the one, الذي, who, يقرض الله, will lend to Allah, قرضا, a loan, حسنا, good, فيضاعفه, so that He multiplies it, له, for him, أضعافا, manifolds, كثيرة, many, والله, and Allah, يقبض, withholds, ويبسط, and grants abundance, وإليه, and to Him, ترجعون, you will be returned. Who will give Allah a generous loan so that He may multiply it for him many times? Allah withholds, or He provides abundantly, you will be returned to Him. Alam tara ila al-mala'i, didn't tara, you see, ila, towards, al-mala'i, the chiefs, min bani Isra'ila, of the children of Israel, min ba'di, of after, Musa, is when, qalu, they said, linabiyyin, to a prophet, lahum, of theirs, ab'ath, appoint, lana, for us, malikan, a king, nuqatil, we may fight, fi sabilillahi, in the way of Allah. Qala, he said, hal asaytum, would you in, if kutiba, prescribed, alaykum, upon you, al-qitalu, the fighting, Allah, that not to qatilu, you fight. Qalu, they said, wama, and what, lana, for us, Allah, that not nuqatila, we fight, fi, in sabilillahi, in the way of Allah, waqad, while surely, akhrajna, we have been driven, min diyarina, of our homes, wa abnaina, and our children, falamma, yet, when, kutiba, prescribed, alayhim, upon them, al-qitalu, the fighting, tawallaw, they turned away, illa, except, qalilan, a few, minhum, among them, wallahu, and Allah, alimun, is knowing, bizzalimin, of the wrongdoers. Didn't you think of the leaders of Israel's after Moses, when they said to their prophet, appoint for us a king, and we will fight in Allah's way? He said, if you are ordered to fight, will you fight? They said, why wouldn't we fight in Allah's way when we were expelled from our homes with our children? But when they were ordered to fight, they turned away, except for a few. Allah knows the disobedient. وَقَالَ لَهُمْ, and said lahum to them nabiyuhum their prophet, inna Allah indeed Allah qad surely ba'atha raised lakum for you Talut Malikan a king. Qalu they said Anna how yakunu can be lahu for him al mulku the kingship alayna over us wa nahnu while we ahaqqu are more entitled bil mulki to kingship minhu than him walam and not yu'ta he has been given sa'atan abundance min al mal of the wealth. Qala he said, Inna Allah indeed Allah astafa'u who has chosen him alaykum over you wazadahu and increased him bastatan abundantly fil ilmi in the knowledge wal jismi and the physic wallahu and Allah yu'ti gives mulkahu his kingdom man yasha'u whom he wills wallahu and Allah wasi'un encompassing alimun all knowing. Their prophets said to them, Allah appointed Talut to be your king. They said, how can he have authority over us when we have more right to authority than he? And he wasn't given plenty of wealth. He replied, Allah chose him over you and he gave him vast knowledge and physical strength. Allah gives authority to whomever He wants. Allah is infinite and all-knowing. وَقَالَ لَهُمْ and said to them, Nabiyuhum their prophet, Inna ayata indeed a sign, mulkihi of his kingship, and that ya'tiyakum will come to you at-tabutu the ark, fihi in its sakinatun is tranquility, min from Rabbikum your Lord, wa baqiyatun and a remnant mimma of what taraka was left alu Musa by the family of Musa wa alu Haruna and the family of Harun tahmiluhu will carry it al malaikatu the angels inna indeed fi zalika in that la ayatan is surely a sign lakum for you in if kuntum you are mu'minin believers. Their prophet said to them, the proof of his authority is the ark that will be brought to you, a source of tranquility from your Lord, containing relics left behind by the families of Musa and Harun. The angels will carry it. In this there is a sign for you, if you are believers. فَلَمَّا and then فَصَلَ set out Talut bil-junudi with the forces. Qala he said, Inna Allah indeed Allah mubtalikum will test you binahrin with a river. Faman so whoever shariba drink minhu from it, falaysa then he is not minni from me, waman and whoever lam doesn't yat'amhu taste it, fa innahu then indeed he minni from me, illa except man ightarafa whoever takes ghurfatan in the hollow biyadihi of his hand. Fasharibu then they drank minhu from it, illa except qalilan a few minhum of them. Falamma then when jawazahu he crossed it, huwa he walladhina and those who amanu believed ma'ahu with him. Qalu they said, La no taqata strength lana for us al yawma today bi Jaluta against Jalut wa junudihi and his troops. قال الذين he said those who يظنون were certain أنهم that they ملاقو would meet Allah come how many min of fi'atin a company قليلة small غلبت overcame fi'atan a company kathiratan large bi'idhnillahi by the permission of Allah. Wallahu and Allah ma'a is with as-sabirin the patient ones. When Talut left with the troops, he said, Allah will test you with a river. Anyone who drinks from it doesn't belong with me, but whoever doesn't drink from it belongs with me, except the one who scoops a little of it with his hand. So they drank from it, except for a few of them. Then, when he crossed it, along with those who believed with him, they said, we have no strength today to confront Jalut and his army. But those who thought they would meet Allah said, how many times have small forces defeated large forces with Allah's help? Allah is with the patient. وَلَمَّا and then barazu they went forth لِجَالُوتَ to face Jalut وَجُنُودِهِ and his troops. قالوا they said رَبَّنَا our Lord أفرغ pour علينا on us صبرا patience وثبت and make firm أقدامنا our feet وانصرنا and help us على against القوم the people الكافرين who are disbelieving. When they confronted Jalut and his army, they prayed, O Lord, fill us with patience, strength, and footing, and help us against the unbelievers. فَهَزَمُوهُمْ so they defeated them بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ by the permission of Allah. وَقَتَلَ and killed Dawood Jalut وَآتَاهُ and gave him Allahu and Allah gave him al-mulka the kingdom wal-hikmata and the wisdom وَعَلَّمَهُ and taught him mimma that which yasha'u he willed walawla and if not daf'ullahi nasa for the repelling of Allah to the people ba'dahum some of them biba'dhin with others lafasadatil ardu certainly would have corrupted al-ardu the earth walakin Allah and but Allah dhu fadlin possessor of bounty ala al-alamin the world. And by the will of Allah they defeat them. And David killed Jalut and Allah gave him sovereignty and wisdom, and he taught him what he wanted. If Allah hadn't repelled some people by others, the earth would have gone to ruin. But Allah is gracious to humankind. Tilka these ayatullahi are the verses of Allah. Natluha we recite them. Alayka to you bil haqqi in truth. Wa innaka and indeed you lamin are surely al-mursaleen of the messengers. These are Allah's revelations. We recite them to you in truth. You are one of the messengers. صدق الله العظيم.